Broadcasting from Cordova, Alabama, throughout the United States and around the world. You are listening to the Corinth Baptist Church worship service. Sit back, open your hearts, and prepare to worship.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, and good evening. It just depends on what time you'll be watching this. We're going to be in session 7 if you have a book, and it's going to be entitled, this session is going to be entitled The Return of Jesus. We have talked at great length about, over this last month or so, about his arrest, his trial, his persecution, his death, his burial, and his rising on the third day, which was the first Easter. Today, we're going to talk about his return when he comes back to gather his church and all the saved people and take them to heaven with him, to live in eternity with him. And it says on page 82 of this book, what are some of the future events you can't wait to experience? I wrote one particular one is I want to see him in the air in the eastern sky and everyone see him at the same time. He will return. He'll be on a white horse. He won't be just like he came to earth when the first time. He won't come as a baby. He will come as a king this time. And we're going to be in Matthew 24, 3 through 8, and 29 through 32, and 42 through 44. So there's 4 things right here on this introductory that we look forward to, major milestones in our life, both with excitement and trepidation. The first one is graduation. High school is as far as I went, but when I graduated, I was very, very excited. It was a new experience for me, and it marked a major accomplishment. And it says the graduate has passed all the requirements and tests. The excitement that he or she has finished the work is accompanied by nervous anticipation. And I now have to step out and enter into the real world. You have to get out, and you're not going to be, mom and daddy's little child anymore. You're going to have to get out, find you a job, and support yourself. The second one is marriage. I've married my high school sweetheart, and next year we'll celebrate 50 years of marriage. She's the love of my life. And this writer says he has found the love of his life. He's excited to marry her because he no longer is on his own. But nervous about all the challenges and responsibilities that come with sharing a life together. Number 3 is a birth. Of course, I can remember my first child being born. It was a boy, and it was something else. I'd never experienced anything like that. Followed him around all the time with a tape recorder and a camera, taking pictures and recording his sounds he made. But you don't do that with number 2 and number 3. So everybody loves a new baby, but life definitely is about to change for parents. New parents embrace this joy with a touch of nervousness, hoping to do things well and bring their child up right. Fourthly, this is something I've experienced in the last few years, is retirement. The thrill of slowing down or having more time for hobbies and activities can be coupled with anxious questions about finances and health. And my health has made a nosedive in the last few years. I've had a lot of hospital time and things that are make you think about how much longer have I got on this earth? So whether you experience all 4 of these milestones or none of them, one major milestone awaits humanity. One day, Christ will return to earth. Even followers of Christ can view this event with both excitement and trepidation. What will it be like? Life will be, it'll be definitely changed from what it is right now. And for those with relationships with Christ, it will only change for the better. So let's get started. Matthew 24, 3 through 8. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? They wanted to know exactly when this was going to happen, and he couldn't tell them because he doesn't know, or only he knows, but he's going to keep it to himself. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. False prophets is what he's talking about here. Don't listen to just anybody. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And for nations shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. And all these things are the beginnings of sorrow. And the key word here is the Mount of Olives, where they were talking. And this is the hill across from Kidron Valley, east of Jerusalem. And this mount gave Jesus and his disciples an excellent view of the city, including the temple. Now, the writer of this lesson is talking about a friend of his. Well, he's talking about himself, I'm sorry. And what he got into with prescription drugs. After a car accident, my doctor prescribed 4 heavy opioids to help me cope with pain. I thought this is the worst it can get. I was wrong. I soon discovered street drugs, and my drug addiction meant I eventually ran out of money and had to live without electricity. I thought this is the worst that it can get. I was wrong. I soon began stealing from my family. When I was at the end of my rope and finally realized I'd had enough, I thought this is the worst it can get. I was wrong. I still had to deal with painful withdrawal, and the life cycle of a drug addict can be summed up like this. It's going to get worse before it gets better. This is true of so many things in life, whether it's our eating habits, health decisions, or the stock market. It was also something Jesus told his disciples when he spoke of his return. People in Christian circles argue more and more about his second coming than anything else. They think they know the inside track. They've got this crazy formula that they've come up with. There's been many people that's tried to come out recently that they know, they swear they know when he's coming back. When will it happen? What will it look like? What are the details? Excuse me, here's what we know for sure. He died. He rose from the dead on the 3rd day, and he ascended to heaven, and Jesus is coming back. That's the bottom, the truth and the only truth. He's coming back. Matthew 24 helps us see a little more clearly what Christ's return means for us. His disciples kicked off his teachings about his return, and Jesus had made a reference to his return and the destruction of the temple. The 2 almost cryptic comments that piqued their curiosity. So they asked, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall the signs of thy coming and the end of the world be? They were just itching to know, and they couldn't stand it. They hounded him, and they wanted to know. In the minds of the disciples, these 2 questions were probably the same. And if something as horrific as the destruction of the temple would surely be a part of the end of the age, and his response, however, indicates that these are 2 separate events. After all, the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, but he had not returned yet. So his response was full of unsettling things: wars, threats of wars, natural disasters, political strife, global conflict. Jesus summed it all up with this: all these things are the beginning of sorrows. In other words, it's going to get worse before it gets better. We rightly refer to these events as the end times, but they also mark the beginning. Things like wars and rumors of wars, the rise and fall of empires, the rumblings in the very belly of the earth, and also signal that dawn is coming. It is going to get worse, but it is going to get better. As we read about the signs he predicted about in the end days, we should read it with hope of those whose salvation rests with Christ. We can do this because we know the one who is in control, who knew these things would happen, and who remains on the throne. That's him. He's always on the throne. When you read Matthew 24, 3 through 8, which of these things do you see in the world today? Of course, you see natural disasters. It seems like there's a new one every day. Fires out in California, the wildfires. It's beginning to be warm weather, and there'll surely be wildfires out there. And seems like every year they have them, and they're so big they're almost impossible to contain, but they eventually do. Things like of that nature, and we've just had and we're not over it yet. We've got a pandemic on our hands, and so that's another thing we had to worry about. Matthew 24, 29, and 32. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to another. That will be the difference between his coming, his second coming, and his first. He didn't come the first time with all this splendor. He was just a baby, born in a manger. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. The key words here, the Son of Man, is a messianic reference taken from Daniel 7, and Jesus adopted this title as his favorite personal designation, and that defined his ministry and mission on earth. Earlier, he told his disciples not to chase after alleged sightings and rumors about where the Messiah is. And when he returns, we're going to know it. It's not going to be a mistake. We're not going to think it's something else. It's going to be self-explanatory. He said everyone alive is going to know it. Jesus spoke this plainly. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And we're not going to mistake it for anything. He referred to himself as the Son of Man, and this was a phrase that held a specific meaning to the Jews because it was a reference to the Messiah, the Christ. The most noteworthy use of the phrase in the Old Testament was in Daniel 7, 13, and 14. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came through the ancient days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. John was given a glimpse of heaven in Revelations And he would later see Jesus in his full majesty as the Son of Man. As I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. So living as believers means living with anticipation of his return. It's not if, but when. And he is going to come back. Every generation has expected him to return in their lifetime. Worldwide events, whether they are wars or pandemics, have caused Christians to wonder, will Jesus be coming now? He compared the signs of his return to the blooming of a fig tree. The sprouting of leaves simply tells us summer is on its way, and the signs of Jesus that he mentioned tell us, without giving a specific date and time, that his return is near. When Jesus does come back, it will be magnificent, unmistakable, and extremely real. Matthew 24, 42 and 44. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come, but know this, that if the good man in the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would have not suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. So you need to be prepared, you need to be on guard, and always watch. He moved from prophecy to practical application. He had laid out things for us to know that point to his return, and now he told us what to do practically in light of that information. Be ye also ready. He made it simple and to the point. Be on watch or lookout always. Now again, the writer of this lesson has a story about a friend. I have a friend who had a band, and they were on tour in Illinois in the dead of winter. All around them were snowy plains and long stretches of freezing road, and they suddenly realized they were running dangerously low on gas. And by the time of this discovery, they only found closed gas stations. Eventually, they found an open station and coasted their clunking, empty tank van up to a pump. Of course, and I think they left a word out right here, of course, if they had been prepared for a situation like this, I put in if they had prepared for this frequently, or for this situation like this, either by filling up or frequently or coming prepared with extra fuel, they would not have had this headache altogether. In the same way, Jesus told his disciples that they were to live ready for him to come back anytime. Be ready, since nobody knows the exact day that will happen. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. We would be like the homeowner who heard that the thief was coming in the night, and such a homeowner was diligently on guard and prepared to respond appropriately before the thief arrived. Living as a people ready for Jesus' return affects everything we do, from the way we pray, the way we interact with those around us, and let us be a people who belong to a bigger picture, a bigger kingdom. Servants to the master of creation, always on our guard and ready at a moment's notice to enter the glorious victory our King has promised he will bring. Thank you, folks, and we'll see y'all later.
You have been listening to Corinth Baptist Church worship service with Reverend Mark Lockhart. We pray you have received a blessing and invite you to join us on Facebook, Spreaker, or iTunes. Until next time, God bless you is our prayer.